The hall was eerily silent, save for the occasional hum of machinery. The alien king, a towering figure clad in ceremonial garb now tarnished by his capture, stood shackled in the center of the room. His golden eyes glared at his human captors, unyielding and fierce, as if daring them to comprehend the magnitude of what they had done. Around him, armed guards stood in rigid formation, their faces unreadable but their stances tense. The air felt thick with a mixture of fear and determination. Humanity had never faced a situation like this. Capturing a ruler of the Galactic Empire was unthinkable. A species barely a century into interstellar travel, defying the might of a civilization that had ruled the stars for millennia. But this wasn't a brash act of rebellion or desperation. It was a calculated move, one born of necessity. The alien king's crimes were undeniable. Entire colonies obliterated, planets stripped of their resources, and millions enslaved under his rule. When his forces began encroaching into human territory, leaving destruction in their wake, Earth's leaders had issued a final warning. It was ignored, of course. To the king, humans were an insignificant, upstart species, a minor inconvenience in his quest for domination. He learned too late the cost of underestimation. The operation to capture him had been a masterpiece of human ingenuity. A stealth fleet, equipped with prototype cloaking devices, had slipped past the king's formidable armada. Elite operatives infiltrated his flagship, exploiting blind spots in the alien defenses, and subdued the ruler in a coordinated strike. They escaped just as chaos erupted aboard the ship, returning to Earth with their prize. Now, as the king stood before them, humanity faced the consequences of their boldness. His presence on Earth was a statement. No one, not even the most powerful ruler in the galaxy, was beyond accountability. Yet it was also a provocation. Messages from the Galactic Empire had flooded every communication channel since the capture. Demands for his immediate release, threats of retaliation, and veiled promises of destruction. A council of human leaders gathered in the adjoining chamber, watching the scene unfold through reinforced glass. They were a diverse group, military officers, diplomats, and scientists united in purpose. One of them, a seasoned diplomat named Lin, spoke with a measured tone. "We've sent a message to the galaxy, one that cannot be ignored. But now we must prepare for the storm." General Harris, a battle-hardened veteran, leaned forward, his expression grim. "The Empire won't negotiate. They'll see this as an act of war." Lin met his gaze, unwavering. "And what would you suggest? Release him? Let him return to his throne to continue his atrocities?" Harris didn't answer, but the silence spoke volumes. Everyone in the room understood the stakes. This wasn't just about justice. It was about survival, about proving that humanity could stand among the stars without bowing to tyranny. The alien king, still defiant, raised his voice for the first time. His words, though incomprehensible to most, carried an undeniable weight. The translator device attached to his restraints clicked, and his booming declaration filled the hall. "You think this act of defiance will make you strong? You are but insects playing at power. Release me now, and I may spare your world from annihilation." No one flinched. A young guard closest to the king tightened his grip on his weapon. His jaw clenched. The king noticed and smirked, as if amused by the display of human resolve. From the observation chamber, Lin turned to the others. "This is our chance to set a precedent, to show the galaxy that even the mightiest are not above the law. If we falter now, it won't just be Earth that suffers. It'll be every species living under their oppression." Another voice chimed in, a scientist with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor. "We've already defied the odds by capturing him. The question is, can we hold our ground long enough to make this matter?" Outside, the alien emissaries had begun arriving. Massive ships hovered ominously above Earth's atmosphere, their designs intricate and menacing. Each one was a symbol of the Empire's vast reach, a reminder of the power that could descend upon them at any moment. And yet, the humans remained steadfast. They had no illusions about the challenges ahead. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they also knew this was their moment. a chance to show the universe what humanity stood for. As the alien king's gaze swept across the room, taking in the resolute faces of his captors, something shifted in his expression. For the first time, there was a flicker of doubt. Humanity had done the impossible. Now they had to prove it wasn't a fluke. The Galactic Empire's ships were a stark contrast to anything humanity had ever built. Massive, ornately adorned, and humming with energy that seemed to radiate authority. Their arrival was both a statement and a threat. They didn't request permission to enter Earth's orbit. They simply appeared, the light from their engines piercing the void as if declaring ownership of the stars. Inside one of these leviathans, a gathering of alien dignitaries convened to discuss the unthinkable. The arrest of their king by humans, a species they had dismissed as primitive, was not just a political crisis. It was a humiliation. The dignitaries were a diverse group, each representing different factions within the empire. Some were reptilian, others insectoid, and a few bore no resemblance to anything Earth scientists had ever documented. Yet they all shared one thing: outrage. A diplomat with scaled skin that shimmered like molten metal addressed the group. These humans have overstepped. Their arrogance threatens the balance we have maintained for centuries. The king's capture is not just an affront to our sovereignty. It is a challenge to our authority in the galaxy. Another alien, its voice clicking through mandibles, retorted, and yet, they succeeded. A fleet of our finest ships, a king surrounded by his elite guard, and they managed to outwit us. That cannot be ignored. The room buzzed with tension. For all their bluster, they couldn't deny the uncomfortable truth. Humanity had done what no other species dared to attempt. It wasn't just a matter of freeing their king now, it was about preserving their reputation. The Empire's emissaries to Earth were chosen carefully. Their leader, a tall, willowy figure whose translucent skin pulsed faintly with bioluminescent patterns, carried themselves with the weight of centuries of tradition. They had seen countless worlds rise and fall, their civilizations crumbling under the weight of imperial might. To them, humanity was no different. The first communication sent to Earth was as calculated as it was condescending. The emissary's voice, broadcast through the universal translator, echoed with authority. Humans, you have committed an act of unprecedented defiance. You hold in your custody the sovereign ruler of the Galactic Empire, an act punishable by annihilation. Release him immediately, and we may consider sparing your species. The response they received was not what they expected. A calm, measured voice replied, devoid of fear. Your king is accused of crimes against humanity and other species. He will face trial under our jurisdiction. We invite your representatives to witness the proceedings. But the process will not be interrupted. It was a masterstroke of diplomacy, both firm and rational. But the aliens were unaccustomed to being treated as equals, let alone being defied. The emissary's internal bioluminescence flared briefly, a sign of agitation among their kind. In their war council aboard the lead ship, the debate raged on. Some factions pushed for immediate retaliation, their pride demanding swift vengeance. Others, more pragmatic, argued that annihilating Earth would only strengthen the humans' narrative and inspire rebellion among other oppressed species in the Empire. A feline-like alien with piercing eyes and a soft, menacing voice summed up their predicament. They've trapped us in a paradox. If we destroy them, we validate their accusations of tyranny. If we do nothing, we appear weak. The humans may be primitive, but they've weaponized their principles effectively. In the midst of this deliberation, an unexpected development emerged. The humans, ever resourceful, released encrypted communications to the galactic network. These messages detailed the crimes of the alien king, evidence of planetary genocides, cultural eradications, and betrayal of even allied species within the Empire. The revelations spread like wildfire, igniting unrest among the Empire's subjects. The dignitaries watched in disbelief as their stronghold on galactic opinion began to crumble. What was once a united empire was now facing pockets of dissent. Alien species who had long harbored resentment against the king's rule began to voice their support for humanity's actions. Some even hailed them as the galaxy's moral compass, a notion that deeply unsettled the empire's leaders. The emissaries' next transmission to Earth bore the weight of these developments. Their tone, though still commanding, now carried an edge of restraint. We acknowledge the gravity of the accusations against our king. However, his trial must be conducted by a neutral galactic body, not by a species as young as yours. We proposed negotiations to avoid escalation. The human reply was swift and resolute. We welcome dialogue but will not compromise our principles. The trial will proceed as planned, with transparency for all to see. If you value justice, you will observe, not interfere. The emissaries' composure faltered for a fraction of a second, a moment imperceptible to most but glaring to their fellow dignitaries. Humanity had cornered them, forcing the Empire to engage on unfamiliar terms. Within the Empire's delegation, fractures began to form. Some factions saw this as an opportunity to reshape the imperial hierarchy, to rid themselves of a ruler whose methods had sown discord. Others viewed it as a matter of survival, insisting on the king's swift return to maintain order. Despite their technological superiority, the aliens faced a challenge they were ill-equipped to handle. Humanity's relentless pursuit of justice, backed by a moral clarity that resonated across the stars. For the first time, the Empire found itself not just questioning its power but its very legitimacy. As their ships loomed above Earth, the emissaries knew the balance of power had shifted in a way they couldn't fully understand. Humanity had proven itself more than a species of warriors or diplomats. It had become a force capable of reshaping the galaxy's future. The chamber was a battleground of words, tension crackling like static in the air. At the center of it all stood humanity's representative, an unassuming figure whose steady demeanor masked the immense weight on their shoulders. Across the table, the alien emissaries loomed, their various forms a striking reminder of the Empire's vast reach and power. Each word exchanged was calculated, every pause deliberate, as both sides maneuvered to gain the upper hand without revealing too much of their true intentions. The alien emissary began with a tone that combined superiority and condescension. You must understand, humans, that your actions have set a dangerous precedent. By holding our sovereign ruler, you threaten the stability of an empire that has maintained galactic order for millennia. Is this truly the legacy your species wishes to forge? The human diplomat met the alien's gaze without flinching. The legacy we seek is one of accountability. The galaxy has endured too long under the shadow of unchecked power. Your king's actions, genocide, enslavement, and the destruction of countless worlds, cannot be dismissed as necessary for order. If stability requires such atrocities, then perhaps it's time for that order to be questioned. The room fell silent for a moment. The alien emissaries exchanged glances, their forms shifting in subtle displays of unease. It wasn't often that anyone spoke to them this way, let alone with such conviction. One of the emissaries, a being with crystalline skin that refracted light into dazzling patterns, leaned forward. Your principles are admirable, but they are naive. The galaxy is not governed by ideals. It is governed by power. What you call justice, others will see as rebellion. By defying us, you risk plunging countless systems into chaos. The human's expression hardened. Chaos is the inevitable consequence of tyranny. If the foundation of your empire is so fragile that it cannot withstand scrutiny, then it is not the galaxy's stability you're preserving. It's your own dominance. Another emissary, whose elongated limbs and sharp features gave them an almost predatory appearance, interjected. And what of your species? You claim to champion justice, yet you act as judge, jury, and executioner for beings you barely understand. What gives you the right to decide the fate of the king? The human's response was calm but firm. The evidence of his crimes is undeniable. We are not deciding his fate. We are offering him the trial he denied to billions. If your empire values justice, it should welcome this opportunity to prove its commitment to fairness. The debate continued, each side presenting arguments that reflected their fundamental differences. For the emissaries, the king's capture was a dangerous affront to their authority, a crack in the facade of their invincibility. For humanity, it was a stand against oppression, a chance to show the galaxy that no one was above the law. As the conversation unfolded, the human diplomat observed the subtle dynamics among the emissaries. There was no true unity in their delegation. Some spoke with the fire of conviction, while others hesitated, their words laden with doubt. It became increasingly clear that not all of them were loyal to the king. Sensing an opening, the humans shifted their approach. We know that not all within your empire support the king's actions. His reign has not only brought suffering to his enemies but also to those under his rule. How many of your own worlds have been sacrificed for his ambitions? How many lives have been lost to preserve his image of invincibility? The crystalline emissary's refracted light dimmed slightly, a subtle but telling reaction. Another emissary, whose insectoid form bristled with tension, clicked their mandibles in what could have been agreement or unease. The human pressed on. This trial is not just about humanity. It's about giving the galaxy a voice, about proving that even the most powerful can be held accountable. If your empire truly seeks to maintain order, it should support this process, not obstruct it. The words hung in the air, their weight undeniable. For all their posturing, the emissaries could not ignore the growing dissent within their own ranks. Reports of unrest in the outer systems, fueled by humanity's release of damning evidence against the king, had already begun to spread. The cracks in the empire's foundation were widening, and the longer the trial loomed, the more unstable their grip on power became. The crystalline emissary finally spoke, their tone measured but lacking its earlier certainty. What you propose is dangerous. If the king is found guilty and punished, it will embolden those who seek to challenge our rule. And if he is found innocent, it will undermine your credibility. Are you prepared to accept those risks? The human nodded without hesitation. We are, because this isn't about us. It's about the truth. Let the galaxy see the evidence. Let them hear the testimonies. And let them decide whether your king's actions were justifiable. The room fell silent once more, the weight of the moment settling over everyone present. The alien emissaries, for all their power and experience, found themselves grappling with a situation they had never faced before. A species unwilling to back down, not out of arrogance, but out of principle. The human diplomat stood, signaling the end of the discussion. The trial will proceed, and we welcome your attendance. But understand this, humanity will not be intimidated. We have faced extinction before and survived. We have built our place among the stars not through conquest, but through resilience and determination. Whatever you choose to do next, know that we will endure. As the human left the chamber, the emissaries remained, their discussions now tinged with uncertainty. For all their advanced technology and vast resources, they were confronted with something far more formidable. A species that, despite its youth, had already begun to reshape the galaxy's understanding of power, justice, and resolve.